Okay, so to get started then, let's just do a really quick Laravel installation just using Composer. Let's go ahead and install Laravel, and let's go ahead and call this cart. I'm using Homestead here, and I've already set up a site for this. So once we've installed this, we should just be able to run this in the browser. Okay, so it looks like that's all finished. Let's go into that cart directory and let's just head over to the browser, and sure enough, we have everything working. So as long as you're at this stage, we can carry on. So let's open up our database software, whichever you're using, MySQL or Postgres. I'm using Postgres here, and let's go ahead and create a new database and then switch over our configuration inside of our environment file within the root directory. So I'm going to switch this over to PGSQL, change over the port to 5432 and switch the database name over to cart. That's pretty much all I need to do. Now we're going to run our default migrations. We have password resets, which we're not going to be covering because you can, check out other courses we have on setting things like that up. But we are going to use pretty much the standard users table here. So let's just come over here and run PHP artisan migrate, and we should end up with our users table inside of here. So that's pretty much all we need to do there. Now we're going to do a little bit of tidying up here because we're going to keep things simple in terms of the structure of our app. We're not going to change this around too much. All of our models are going to go inside of a main models directory inside of app, and everything else is going to go in the same place, but you can fiddle around with the structure if you like. So what we're going to do is actually delete the default auth controllers. We're not going to make auth through the command line. The reason being is that we're using or building an API, so we don't need them default controllers. The next thing is I'm just going to come over to app, and I'm going to stick the user model over inside of a models directory here. So all of our models are going to go in here just to keep things that little bit tidier. So let's switch that over to here, and let's delete that old model, and let's come over to this and switch over the namespace for this. And we need to do a little bit of work here just to tidy this up. So if we come over to config and auth and we scroll down to where the user is provided here, we just need to go ahead and change around that namespace, and that's pretty much all we need to do. This should of course still all be working, but we're now set up to build our API. So let's come over to roots and web. We don't need any of these, so what I typically do when I'm building an API is just get rid of these. If you really want to, you can come over to your root service provider and you can actually get rid of all of your web routes. You see we've got a call to a map web routes function here, which goes ahead and creates that kind of section of your app. So you can get rid of this if you want and get rid of the call here. It's entirely up to you if you want to do that. I'm going to leave it for now just in case we do need web routes later. But in terms of the API routes, we don't actually need this either. We're going to pretty much start from scratch here. So let's just define out a really simple route just to make sure that everything is working. So let's just create a closure in here, and let's just return some text. So hello, for example. And let's come over to the browser or over to a REST client, and let's go over to /API, and we should see that output there. Now we're going to be using Postman throughout the course, so I'd highly recommend going ahead and just grabbing this so you have that ready to go. But we've pretty much set up our Laravel app, cleared it up just that little bit, and we're ready to move on.